Hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel, and thank you for joining. Now, as you can see underneath my beautiful face, there's a young man over here, and we brought him all the way from Hollywood. Okay, he's a Hollywood star. Okay, he's super coach, the man that super coach legends talk about all the time, and it's the one and only Tim Michell. Welcome to the channel, Tim.
Hello, Abs. It's a pleasure to jump on and have a chat to you and all your listeners and viewers, mate. I think both of us are in a pretty similar position this year, where maybe we're not going as well as we'd hoped, but it's been interesting, hasn't it? Like I would have thought that sitting 25,000 overall, whatever I am at the moment, would be that I'd be hating Supercoach and that I'd be dreading logging in every week to see my score, but I think both of us are having a sort of strange thing going on where we're actually sort of quite enjoying the season. And I know it's, some of the feedback that we've had, it's probably the most fun sort of I've had with some of the feedback so far this year. So it's been really good on that front, even though my team sucks at the moment.
Well, funny you mentioned that you're 25,000. I wish I was 25,000 at the moment because I'm way above that. I'm actually at 35,000. So, but combined, we're having what we would call our worst ever season. Because last year at this time, yourself, I remember 2 years back to back, you were in the top 1,000 and fighting your way to get into that top 100. And uh, the pressure is off this year. That's the main thing for me because I know every year I'm under pressure to perform and try to get into the top 10, and it's a headache. This year I'm just relaxed because the pressure is off. I'm enjoying watching some faces that I've never seen before in the top 100 now featuring in that top 100, and it's an absolute joy. And even yourself, we chat a lot together on private chats, and we discuss how bad we're going, and we sort of laugh about
Yeah,
it now because it's all
yeah.
funny. Because if anything could go wrong, it just goes wrong. Okay, so whatever we touch, sometimes they say it turns into gold, but for us it turns into poo poo. Okay, everything we touch is not good.
Oh man, I can't believe it. So I kind of had two choices this year, which was like get really frustrated and get annoyed at the fact that I've made some absolutely horrible trades, and like premiums that I've traded in have gone really badly, especially the first week. Like for example, I traded in Jordan Clark last week, and he got 58 after he hadn't scored below 95 all year, and St Kilda just completely shut down that game and all his run. And you think that the world's going to end and that your Supercoach team's a complete mess, and then the next week he comes out and scores 150, and you're absolutely flying. So things can turn around pretty quickly. But like I was saying, I sort of had the choice of sort of hating my team and being really frustrated about things, or I guess leaning into this new persona that people seem to have given me as the Supercoach curse. And in a way, like I think people are quite enjoying it because somehow I don't like. Obviously, I have absolutely no impact on the way things go in games, Abs, but seems to be if I trade in a premium, they go pretty poorly, and that means that everyone else that doesn't have them is going to get them a lot cheaper in a couple of weeks' time. And if I trade out a rookie like Zach Reed, they seem to turn into premiums. So it's not good for my team, but it's helping a lot of other teams out there with some of the bad trades that I'm making, because it seems to be that I either turn premiums into Spuds or I turn Spud rookies into premiums. So at least other people are getting some enjoyment out of some of the misfortune that I've had so far, and some of the bad trades that I've made.
Well, we both have a special talent. I'm going to discuss this talent that we both have. You've actually mentioned a lot of that talent, but the talent we're like Batman and Robin right now, okay? I'll be
Yeah,
Batman, you could be Robin,
you're
right? So
definitely Batman.
we're like a superhero sort of super coach community because we're helping them. Okay, they don't realize this, okay? But we're actually here to help you all, and your talent this year has been remarkable. Now, if people had realized your talent, that would be in the top 100. Every single person would be in the top 100. Now,
Just do the opposite.
combine
Yeah.
combine your talent with my talent, they'll be in the top 10 because we both have different characteristics. Whereas with my talent, the player that I trade out changes roles. Okay, he'll have a role change, a play in a halfback role. He'll go nuts, and that happens with yourself as well. Uh, the players that I actually bring in haven't done badly for me. So I've actually been lucky with the players that I brought in. It's just that the players that I took out have gone nuts and changed roles. And we're going to go through our trades, and people are going to see what has happened with our trades, and it's been remarkable. Like uh, yours, they call you the kiss of death right now. Okay, so the
Yeah.
old the old Louis Richards had that. If you can recall who Louis Richards was, you're probably too young for that. But
No,
I used to follow him all the time. But it's a remarkable talent. Okay, so not a lot of people possess this talent.
it's been interesting, Abs. Like I don't know. I was trying to make some moves early on, and like we do rookie corrections. So the first like really bad one, it's turned out really bad anyway. I didn't think it was so bad at the time, but I sort of panicked and I was flicking my team around, and somehow ended up with Sam Powell Pepper in my starting team, and then he scored 18 in round one. So as you do, I thought, no, I'll trade him out and I'll do some rookie corrections and I'll get some other players in, and then he's the first one. Like I tear my hair out every week at Zach Reed's score, but like Sam Powell Pepper has gone on to make what over 200,000, averaged about 85 since I traded him. He's only really had one bad score in that time, and geez, I would love to still have him in my team now. I think I traded him because I wanted to get on a couple of mid prices that I thought were going to go up, which was De Conning and from Geelong and Joel Frazier. And Frazier was okay. De Conning was pretty bad for my team and ended up playing at fullback. So, yeah, that really didn't work. But like I alluded to, the one that has absolutely killed me, and I sort of feel bad because I watch Essendon play most weeks because I'll be on for work on a Saturday or whatever. So you've got to tune into the games. And I watch Zach Reed taking intercept marks and hitting targets with 9 out of 10 of his kicks. And I sort of sit there and tear my hair out. But then the game ends and you sort of take a breath and you think, well, this kid's had no luck for 4 or 5 years in his career. You should just be sort of appreciating the fact that he's out there and he's playing well. And yes, you made a dud Supercoach trade in round 3 when you traded him out. And I thought it was the right move because I'm thinking back now, and I think I had 6 Steph only players in my team. So I had to make a choice if I wanted to get Connor O'Sullivan. This is before Connor Stone was Steph forward, and I think Ben Patton might have been in my forward line at that stage. So I couldn't do much with him either. Because I had 6 Steph only, and I was like, no, I missed out on Ollie Dempsey last year. This was my logic anyway. I missed out on Ollie Dempsey last year. I'm not going to miss out on another Geelong rookie. So I'm going to get Connor O'Sullivan before he goes up. But I had to choose one of my defensive rookies to trade out. And I didn't want to trade out Luke Traynor because he was looking really good. And I thought his job security was good. And Zach Reed had been pretty awful to that point. Like I think it was just after he played on Riley Thilthorpe, and Thilthorpe absolutely smashed him. So I thought, no, I'll trade out Reed. And then the next week, he was playing the Jordan Ridley role. Ridley was playing about 70 or 80 metres from goal and then floating back and taking the kick-ins. But Zach Reed seems to be playing this role now, Abs. And like it's as someone that traded him out or a non-o, like it's very hard to watch where he sits about 30, 40 metres behind the ball. They use him for all the switches and he goes at a really high disposal efficiency because of that. So it's hard, isn't it, mate? You played for long enough that if you miss 1 or 2 really good rookies, like I've missed, probably going to miss in the end about 300,000 in cash gen from Reed, over 200,000 from Powell Pepper. That's essentially a premium that I've missed out on, and I've had to find some cash in other ways. So when you make those rookie mistakes really early on in the season, it can set you back a lot, can't it?
It's actually season over from the start. The minute
Well,
you miss
that's
those
right.
rookies, yeah, it's season over. I mean, last year I missed out on the ones you mentioned as well. Every year I miss out on. I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't pick rookies. I've got a massive problem with picking rookies, and the skill for Supercoach is actually getting the rookies right. I can never get them right. I've never ever had rookies right. And you mentioned Sam Powell Pepper, all right. People were mentioning in the preseason, should they get Sam Powell Pepper? My advice to them was no. Okay, I'd say to everyone, don't get Sam Powell Pepper. I look at his averages; it's only 60 or from the previous year, maybe 66 or something. He's never backed up 100 back to back ever, and this year he's done it 3 times back to back. It's unheard of. And Port Adelaide, I didn't think they're going to be a power team, so I couldn't see Sam Powell Pepper playing in a forward line, scoring 100s 3 weeks back to back to get him to score what he got. So your trade out I think a lot of people actually did trade him out that time as well because it was probably the right thing to do. Okay, so but you can't. I mean, if we had a crystal ball, you'd say, "Wow, you never saw this coming." And as a non-owner, I never saw this coming. Okay, so and once you have
No,
a rookie scoring 100, it's like a primo score. So people that have got Sam Pepper have had an extra primo on field virtually by having these scores. Now, I've also missed out on Levi Ashcroft. Okay, so I missed Levi Ashcroft, Sam Pepper. I missed out on Reed. I didn't have Reed, so he was scoring big. I missed out on who's it? Muric. I haven't got Muric, so I'm watching him scoring 120s every week, and it's driving me nuts. So virtually every rookie that you're supposed to get, I got the
yeah,
Spuds. Okay, I'm a Spud collector, so and as you can see, we're the home of the Spuds. So I missed them all, and luckily I got Reed, so that's the only one that I have got. Okay, so I got that one right, but I was going to always get Reed. I probably would have traded him out as well, like you did, but I had so many other spots to get rid of that I had to keep Reed. So it ended up being okay for me.
yeah. So I was just going to say, I look back on that Zach Reed trade now, and like I've been trying to get rid of Jaden Short for about 6 weeks now because he is playing. I'm not going to say he's a spud because I think he's a better player than that, but he is playing like a spud, and his role at Richmond is just terrible. You would have watched the game on the weekend, I think against Hawthorn closely. They had 7 players take kick-ins. Like, that is unheard of. That is a third of the team taking kick-ins. It's just crazy. So we saw he had the perfect role in preseason. It was going to be him and Boston sharing the kick-ins. Now Ben Miller takes kick-ins. Now Luke Trainer takes kick-ins in his first year. Sam Banks takes kick-ins. So there's just way too many players back there. If I'd had my time again, I would have just given up on Jaden Short at round 3. I would have kept Zach Reed, would have banked 300K, and I'd probably be getting better scores out of Zach Reed. But yeah, unfortunately, not how it's panned out. So that's been hurting me most weeks. But like you say, yeah, me trading out Reed seems to have coincided with him scoring really well. So at least other people are getting some joy out of it.
Yeah, well, you mentioned those kick-ins and the preseason. Preseason is a killer. It always it's a con job. Okay, the preseason. Every time I watch
Yeah,
preseason games, I get what they call a sucked in. Okay, and then I bring the players that I was never thinking of bringing. Like Short was on my never ever list, and I still got him in.
yeah.
Okay, and it was even Flynn. I was never going to start Flynn. But because everyone had Flynn, I felt pressured. Okay, there was too much pressure on me, so I had to bring in Flynn at the start of the year. But gonna go through some of our trades now and show the viewers how
How
much we're
bad we are.
helping them. Okay, or we can say how bad we
Yeah.
are as well, but we're actually helping them. That we'll sound more positive, and we'll just say we're here to help out all the viewers. So I'm just going to change the screen now. Okay, now in round 2, because I love using trades straight away, and when I interviewed our champ Jack, who was our leading player this year, even he used all his boosts straight away. So it's the if you can get your team up and running as quick as possible, that's usually the way to get to the top. So I had a 2-week plan. Okay, so I got rid of
Yeah.
well, I got rid of Perryman, which is not too bad, I suppose. I got rid of Flynn, okay, because he got dropped,
Nah.
and I got rid of Chera because I had a brainstorm and I saw that all these defenders are going nuts, and I thought the midfielders are all getting tagged, and I had a choice. It was either going to be Chera or Oliver. And I chose Chera, and Chera scored 100s every single week after I got rid of him. So that's one player that I boosted for everyone to go nuts with. In round
But
2,
I like it. Oh, sorry, Abs. I like your
yeah,
thinking
yeah,
because like that what you just said there about the defenders is totally true. Like, I know that contested possessions are still sort of pretty heavily weighted, but like Supercoach has gone past the days where like midfielders, apart from Bont and Butters, really, like they're the only ones that consistently score 120, 130s. Most of the others are around that sort of 110, 115. But it's the guys that are scoring the big numbers are like Lockie Whitfield and Zorko to start the year was going 130s, and Bailey Dale's already put up at 130s. Like you want those seagull types. You want the guys that sit behind the ball and get all the kick-ins and go at 90%. So even though the Cherry trade didn't work, like I can, or at least for a few weeks anyway, I think a lot of people are starting to move him on now about sort of round 8 or round 9 because it's pretty clear that he's not going to be a top 10 or top 15 midfielder. But like, I can totally understand your logic for wanting to get on the gun defenders while they were running hot.
Yeah, and plus, like you mentioned, Zorko had the first 2 weeks at 130 both rounds. So I thought if I don't get Zorko now at his price, because I'm not sure what the price was here. It was 595K, and I thought that this is a bargain. He's gonna be like last year's what's his name? The boy from Frio. He's gonna be like him. He's gonna go about 650, 700K. So I thought I better get Zorko straight away. So I bought in Zorko. Then Stewart got injured, so I needed another defender. So I brought in Sinclair as well. So I brought the two of them in. Well, Sinclair scored that 160 the first game he played for me, and Zorko scored a 130. So that was actually a good week for me. But the problem was two of them they haven't lived up to their promise or their price tag, and they've dropped so badly. So they've actually, I'm actually shocked that they're not performing. They were supposed to be the best two players in my defense at the time, and they've let me down big time, and it hasn't worked. So now the midfielders are scoring more than defenders, although last night we saw defenders going nuts. So it's a crazy year. I can't work out the best six defenders. Who are they? They're all imposters right now. So like last week, you had the player that you brought in, Clark. He scored a 58 from Clark. It's unheard of. Whatever he scored. You're just so unlucky. You can't script this. You bring in a player that's never scored a 50 in his life, and he goes and scores a 50 the first week you bring him in. So it's just unlucky.
I think he had three scores or two scores before that under 60 or 70 in his last 70 games or something. Like, it's just crazy. So yeah, we have some bad luck, and like we make some dud moves as well. But I know, like when I put it up on Twitter, Abs, that a few people are asking questions, and one was about Zorko, so we might as well answer that while we're talking about him. Just saying, do we think Zorko or Max Holmes will score more points from this point of the season? Like, who would be? They're both pretty cheap now, both around 500K. Like, who would you rather have in your team for the rest of the year out of Zorko and Holmes?
Well, I own Zorko right now, and I'm not a happy owner, so I can tell you right now. He takes the kick-ins, and then sometimes he doesn't. He just lets it go. He says to his mates, "You take the kick-in. I can't be bothered taking the kick-in." And Zorko can go crazy. I think Zorko in the back end of the season goes better than the front end of the season for some reason, because maybe getting ready for finals or whatever. Maybe that they play harder to get into the top four, but he seems to be lazy sometimes and gives away silly free kicks and 15-meter penalties. We got Kitty Coleman coming back now. I don't know what Kitty Coleman's role is going to be. So they got Fletcher taking a lot of Zorko's points as well. So they got Kitty Coleman to come in, then Fletcher's going to come in, and so I honestly don't know who's the better player. And because I'm looking at Holmes, and I was actually thinking about getting him, and I don't really like what I'm seeing from Holmes either. And Holmes had a big game when Stewart was out. Stewart last week Stewart was out as well.
That game was mental. I think he started in the centre bounce, and then he went and took kickouts. Like, it was just the ultimate role. He was playing as a midfielder but taking kick-ins.
So take that role out, and what's Holmes actually averaging? So if he doesn't have that role, because the role that Holmes has got right now is actually his role, and so you're bringing in the Holmes as a midfielder, and to be honest, Holmes probably, he's probably as good as Chera.
Well, he's a weird player. He seems to score like in real spurts. He'll score like 30 or 40 points in about 10 minutes. Like, he'll do 2 or 3 really good clearances, and he'll set up a goal, and then he'll just go missing for the next 30 minutes. You won't see him, and his score will level out because of that. So I find him really hard to read. I really like his price, and I think Geelong's fixture sort of around either side of the buys is really good too. Like, I can see him having a couple of big games, but my worry with Max Holmes is always that, like, he's the number one tag target, and I'm generally trying to avoid those tag targets. Like, you see, it's made such a big difference. Like, people that picked Andy Brayshaw over Caleb Sarong are absolutely flying because Brayshaw doesn't get tagged and Sarong gets tagged every second week. So, yeah, I'm a bit wary of Holmes because of the fact that he's going to get tagged at different stages during the run home. I think that's just inevitable that teams are going to try and shut him down because he can be so damaging.
Yeah, and I also think that Bailey Smith has taken some of his points because in the midfield last year
Yeah.
he was that Bailey Smith, but now they got Bailey Smith to be the Bailey Smith. So I think Holmes has lost a few of those points. On another big game that he had, he scored
Mm.
like a 130 or 140. He kicked 3 goals that week, so he's not going to always kick
Yeah.
3 goals. So those big games, he needs to kick a lot of goals to get those big scores. Like we saw Brayshaw yesterday score a 150 or whatever he scored, which I didn't vice captain him for some reason. But he only kicked 1 goal to get that 150, so he didn't need goals to score didn't
No.
need goals to score a lot of points. So I'd rather have a midfielder that just gets all that contested possession, a lot of touches, doesn't need to score goals to get those big points. And I think Holmes needs kick-ins or goals to get his big scores, and that's sort of maybe I'm reading it wrong, but that sort of worries me. So he's actually not on my radar at all, Holmes.
Yeah. No, I think that's
Yeah,
fair enough, mate. So what? A couple of the other questions that came in, like before we go back to our bad trades, because we might as well just answer a couple for the listeners and the viewers. But one actually asked who we think the top 6 defenders are going to be from this point of the season, which I think, like you said, apart from Whitfield, who scores 110 every week, like it's been really hard to get a read on who that sort of second tier of defenders are. I really like Jordan Clark because I think he's apart from that week that I brought him in, like he's been really consistent. Freo's got a great buy. And you can generally rely on him for sort of a minimum of 90. It's very, very rare that he goes under that. I'm pretty keen to get Jack Sinclair because his price is getting cheaper and cheaper, and also want Wanganeen Miller because I don't think he's scored below 90 yet. But I think apart from Whitfield, Abs, like I can't get too obvious read on sort of who the top defenders are going to be at the end of the year. Even Sheasel's had sort of games where he's looked great and other games where his role's just been terrible.
yeah, I'm gonna go for all these defenders. My app is a bit slow today; it's not working. Even like you said, Wenger and Milera role change. We don't know what role he's got now. Uh,
Mm,
the defense, it's crazy. The boy you mentioned, I think he's going to be like Clark. I've always liked Clark, but for some reason this year he actually looks better than he's ever looked. And he's
yeah.
going to be 520K next week because I've actually looked at his price, and I think he's a must-have, Clark. So I'm going
Oh,
to
he's the
bring him
best.
in next
He's
week.
going to be the best buy next week. Yeah, if anyone doesn't have
Yeah,
him, yeah, I think you just have to get him. They've got Freo and St Kilda have got that round 13 buy where only 2 teams play. So I think if you want to load up on Freo or St Kilda players, that's going to end up being a pretty safe play. It'll set you up well to get through all those buys mid-year.
now Lockie Ash is a player that's very interesting. I mean, he had a bad week last week, but he's
Yeah,
virtually another. He's taken a lot of the kick-ins as well. He's actually. I didn't think that Lockie Ash was this good, and uh, for some reason, I've always passed on him. He's made 114K. He's gone up. He's going to go back down again soon because at 85. But I think Lockie Ash could be a top 6 this year. I think. I never thought I'd ever say this, but he looks decent. So I'm really liking what I've seen from Lockie Ash. Wangan
yeah, no, it's a good call.
Milera.
Abs, I was going to say we want teams that play like disposal heavy in defence, like Fremantle have in the last couple of years, and that's why someone like Jake Bowie has become relevant all of a sudden this year because Melbourne are playing that chippy style where Bowie gives it to Salem and then Salem gives it to May and then Rivers gets the ball next and they just like to chip it around and keep possession and then they sort of play similar to GWS really where they try and launch off halfback and get the ball moving quickly that way. So like game style plays a big part as well. But what about this question from Brad as well? While we're talking defenders, he said, "Would you pay up for Whitfield? So you're going to pay close to 600K. He's always around 590, 600K. He just doesn't leave that price range. Or would you be aiming to get Zorko or Holmes for 100K cheaper and maybe settling for the fact that they might average 5 or 10 points less? What do you reckon?"
I would get Whitfield because it's guaranteed. It's like asking, would you
Yeah.
get the Bont or would you rather get or somebody else that's maybe who would you rather get out of the
Yeah,
Bont
Josh
and let's
Dunkley or
say
something. Yeah,
Josh Dunkley, yeah. So it has to be
Dunkley.
a Whitfield,
He's 500K,
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, it has to be Whitfield because he's the best. And if you've got
Yeah,
the
Whitfield.
best, yeah, if you got the best player, you can't go wrong. And at least that way, every week you're guaranteed points. And
Well, you think
his ownership is actually low, 22%.
Yeah, well, what's he averaging? 5 points better than any other defender. So if let's say he gets 5 or 10 more, let's say he gets 10 more a week than those cheaper guys that we're talking about, like Holmes, if he gets 10 points more a week from here, round 9, round 4, there's another 150 points that you're going to score for the rest of the year. So that's definitely worth paying the extra 100K, I think, to get them in.
Yeah.
But hey, Abs, if we flip, just because I know we're going to go back to talking our dud trades in a sec, but I just want to take one more question because it relates to last night's game. We're recording sort of the day after the Freo Collingwood game. But Jared asked, is Luke Jackson a contender to be a top 6 forward now, based on what we saw with him getting the rucks and the centre bounce midfield time? So for anyone who didn't watch that game, Luke Jackson started in the ruck and then he became a midfielder when Sean Darcy came on. And then towards the end of the game, Sean Darcy got injured again and got subbed out. So Luke Jackson, I think, becomes really relevant. And with Chad Warner also in the mix now and Petrarca playing well, like who ends up being the top 6 forwards from here is going to be really interesting. I think someone like Caleb Daniel, who's dropped off a bit in the last month, like he might not be a top 6 forward anymore. We might be looking to upgrade him at some stage.
Yeah. With the forwards, it's a bit crazy because we saw Sheasel's move to defense, which now ruined Caleb Daniel. But what happens if Sheasels goes back into that midfield again and back to the forward line? Because it's not guaranteed he's going to play there for the next 14 weeks. Maybe he'll play this week, maybe play next week. They're going to have to eventually move him again because Clarko, we can't work out his brain and what brainstorms he's having. So we don't know what he's going to do because I can't work out any of these coaches. So if Sheasels moves back to that midfield or plays that half forward role, then Caleb Daniel goes back to scoring 100s again. So on current form, you would say Caleb Daniel no good, okay? But the possibility he can be good again. I looked at Bolton yesterday, and he scored a 5 last week, so his price is going to dip all the way down to 400K. And he's going to.
He was great last
I saw him
night.
Yeah, he was awesome. He had like nearly 25, 30 touches and only one goal. And with Young out of the team, Bolton in that midfield, they looked more dynamic. And so does Bolton play in that midfield now, 50% mid-time? Is he going to be like a Chad Warner? So I'm not sure how much mid-time he had yesterday.
He had 50. No, he had 52% centre bounces, which is his highest for the year. So no surprise that Young goes out, and then so he was the third midfielder essentially behind Sarong and Brayshaw. So that's a pretty good sign for his scoring, you'd think.
Yeah, and he's going to be he's going to drop 10K this week, probably another 10K next week if he goes another 100. So he's going to be roughly about 410K. I've actually decided this week that I'm no longer going to get Chad Warner because I was going to get Chad Warner, but now I've got my eye on Bolton, so I can get Bolton cheaper. So I might as well get Bolton. So I've actually passed on Chad Warner this week for that reason. And I've seen a lot of people comment about Chad Warner on X from past experiences that Chad Warner let him down last year big time. Now, I've never owned Chad Warner before, but I can understand when people say a player has let them down. I can relate to that when I have a lot of players that let me down because the king of Spuds at Magic. So we've got a lot of them. So I'm sort of going to listen to the audience on this one, and I'm going to pass on Chad Warner for some reason. And because they've still got Mills to come back in, and we don't know which role Mills is going to play. And I remember in the preseason, the coach was saying that Mills is going to play pure midfield. But then again, Chad Warner just signed a 2-year contract, so maybe he plays midfield. So how many forwards can we have in our team? Because you still got there are so many right now that are actually half decent.
Yeah, don't forget Goulden as well, Abs. Like he's just back running, so he might be back in a month, and that completely changes Chad Warner's role potentially again. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty stacked midfield depending on what Mills and Goulden do. But I was going to ask you because I'm calling this the Spudcast. I don't know what you want to call it, but I'm calling it the Spudcast. And I reckon the spuddiest move that both of us made, round 4, Jason Horne-Francis traded out. He came out, he scored 153. He didn't look like going anywhere near this until that game. I think it was about 60 at quarter time. And of all my bad moves that I've made this year, I don't think I've had a more painful experience than that. Like, is that the one that you reckon set you back the most?
Well, you were the reason that I tried the Horn Francis. I'm just going to let you know this for a fact now, because you wrote an article on the Herald Sun showing the DPPs, and I saw Petrarca in there
Oh,
that's
no.
probably going to be eligible for DPP. Then I saw Warner's name get mentioned, and I thought, well, why do I want to have the horny man when I can have Petrarca and I can have Warner? So I saw the
Yeah.
article, and I said, well, there's no. I mean, and I saw how he was playing. Yeah, he didn't look interested. He didn't want to be there. So I said, I don't want him anymore. So, like yourself, we both saw the same thing. I mean, it was there for us to see. So we got rid of him. Then the same week, he goes on the presses and says, "We're going to put him play harder, play better," and he did. He went nuts the next 3 weeks, and now he's playing like Dustin Martin. He's going crazy. So I don't know, but
we should have known. Yeah, we
but
should
the
have known, mate.
replacement we had was Petrarca, so it wasn't that bad. So if you've got, did you bring in Petrarca?
No, well, I didn't start Bailey Smith because I saw the strapping on his knee before the first game and panicked. So I had to bring him in. So I was essentially Horn Francis for Bailey Smith, which has been fine. And then I got Ryan Marrick that week too, so that's been quite handy. But the main reason that I traded out Horn Francis, and this is a bit that really still annoys me, was I wanted to keep Will Day. So I'd held on to Will Day even though he was injured. I thought, nah, I'm going to hold him. I know Hawthorn's got a bye, but I'm going to hold him through that because I think then they had Richmond coming up, they had Melbourne coming up, they had all this really good fixture, and I thought, no, Will Day will come out after the bye, and even though he's been tagged out of a couple of games, he's going to go back to scoring his 110s, 120s, and Will Day will be well worth holding. And I think about 2 or 3 days after I traded out Horn Francis and he scored 150, we found out that Will Day was out for the rest of the year. So I traded Will Day the next week, and that got me Jordan Dawson, who scored about 50 that week as well. So that just made it even worse. But yeah, that was a really, really annoying couple of weeks. Because if I just traded Will Day instead of Horn Francis, I would have got that 150. I wouldn't have had an extra spot to fill in my forward line. But I don't know. That's just how it goes sometimes, isn't it, Abs? My luck's thankfully, in the last couple of weeks with trading in Clark, it took 2 weeks, but he got 150 for me. I got on Petrarca at his lowest price when he scored 129 against Richmond. And I got on Rosie at about 500K. He looks like he's going to get defensive status in the mid-year updates. So I've made a couple of okay trades in the last few weeks. So hopefully that's the luck turning a corner.
Yeah, Rosie was my gift to the Supercoach community because I actually traded him out because he was terrible. Yeah. And the minute I traded him out, he became a halfback. I traded out to Sheasels that was playing half forward. The same week I traded him out, he went to halfback. So I had 2 players back to back move positions, and that destroyed me. But then again, I traded out Rosie and I brought in Brayshaw for him. So I suppose I can't complain. So Brayshaw's done good for me. So it sort of worked out at the end. But the thing that most people won't understand, okay, even though we're sort of joking and we talk about our spuds, how much it actually hurts us when we see our players go badly. Because I know we have our chats and there are nights I can't sleep because of these spuds, okay? The whole team has a spud week. Last week I scored 2250, okay? I looked at my score and I'm sort of you get embarrassed at some stages to even put up your score and show people look what I've scored. 2250, okay, and you're seeing all these 2500s and 2600s, even a 2700 last week, and you feel embarrassed. But then again, you sort of laugh at it and then say, look, it's just one of those years. You can't do nothing. It's just going to happen. Okay, so let it all happen at once rather than 1 week at a time. I'd rather copy everything all at the same time.
No, it's really funny you say that because that's the next question I was going to ask you, and I know we've got to wrap up soon because we said we'd Spudcast for about half an hour and we've already gone well over that. But that's something that took me. I've been playing Supercoach for I'd say at least 10 years now, probably longer than that, and that was the hardest thing I found. I'm like you and like a lot of the other content creators out there that I invest a lot of time and a lot of energy into this and I like watching all the games so I can see my players and sort of see how they're going and look at their roles and try and look at any trade targets that I might have and how they're playing and stuff. So you're watching 7, 8, 9 games of footy a week to try and get a read on sort of some players that you might want to trade in or how players in your team are going. And yeah, definitely. Like I would have said maybe a couple of years ago, like even last year, I was sort of that invested in it that I was similar to what you were saying. Like if I had a night where, like say that Zach Reed one, for example, I traded out Zach Reed and then he came out and scored 90. Like I probably would have been up half the night thinking about that and thinking what a terrible trade it was and how I've ruined my whole team and all these sort of months of planning has gone down the drain. But I don't know, like I still kick myself sometimes for dumb moves that I make, but thankfully, like I'm in a position now where I don't know whether it's having 2 kids or something, abs, that I'm just so tired most of the time, but I can go to bed and at least try and switch the brain off a bit. And I don't probably take it to heart as much as I used to, but I know there'll probably be people listening to this that, I don't know, might think, yeah, like what do I do when I invest so much time and so much energy into Supercoach and no matter what I do, my players are spuds. And I just think like you just got to look at my Jordan Clark example for last week. Like I would have gone to bed last year if that had happened, absolutely kicking myself and thinking this is the worst thing in the world. I'd be thinking about it all weekend. Al Patton would be telling me to shut up because I'd be whinging to him all weekend about it. But I just went, okay, well, he's had 58. I can have a laugh about it. I can jump on Twitter and everyone will be bagging me and calling me the curse and I can have a laugh at that. And then lo and behold, Jordan Clark comes out the next week and scores 120. So you can have 7, you can have 8 really bad weeks of Supercoach. And eventually, like I thought my Luke Ryan trade until 2 weeks ago was an absolute disaster that it just about ruined my season. And he comes out and scores 115 and 120, and now people are talking about trading him in. I hated the fact I had Jordan Dawson because he looked like he had the wrong boots on for about 3 weeks there and he couldn't even kick a drop punt. And then he came out and scored 160 against Carlton. So you've just got to remember that you traded in players for a reason. They might have form slumps and you might be tempted to trade them out. But at the end of the day, if you back them in, like I think good players more often than not will turn their form around. And I've been lucky at least for a couple of weeks that has happened. And even though 25K is a lot further down the ranks than I was planning, like we said at the start, like I've been able to have a bit of fun and have a bit of a laugh at how bad my team's going. And I think if we continue this next year, and I'd be keen for people to leave some comments and see if they want sort of the Spudcast to become a more regular thing from sort of 2026 as well, or even in the second half of this season. But hopefully that's what we can get across to people, that if your Supercoach team goes bad, it doesn't have to define you. It's not the end of the world. And who knows, you might only be a couple of weeks away from a massive score that kickstarts your season.
Well, what you just said is absolutely spot on. Actually, going to your Luke Ryan trade, that could be a genius move right now. So people that even I was sort of looking at that and saying, "Well, you got Luke Ryan in," but next actually could be a masterstroke. But as you said, Supercoach is a game of skill, but it's also a game of luck, and you need a lot of luck as well. I mean, I came fourth. It's not because I was so skillful, because I was just so lucky. I'll admit that. I'm going to be the first to say it, because there is so much luck involved. Even last year's winner, Jovan, he brought in Rowan Marshall. He took him. That Rowan Marshall was his genius masterstroke. It just takes one masterstroke move, and plus a lot of planning in between as well. But one bad move, and pretty much at the start of the year is when you got to get it all perfect. If you don't get it perfect, you just can't catch up. It's too hard. I've tried everything. It's not working. Whatever I do, I go backwards. So Supercoach is a game where you sort of get it nailed the start, but if you don't, still enjoy it, because you sort of see the players, you learn from it, and then the following year you'll do better. So that's how I see it now, because I've never been ranked this bad before, and I've never seen yourself ranked this bad before. So we both copped it this year, and I've seen a lot of friends that have been highly ranked in previous years also having a bad year this year. So it is normal. You can't always be at the top. It's near impossible, except for the current leader who was ranked 30th last year and is ranked 1 this year. So I don't know how he's done it. So it's incredible. But for most of us,
I'm glad you interviewed him. At least that
Yeah,
balances out our spudness with the number
it,
one
it it
at the
does,
moment.
and he made all the right moves at the start. And that's all it takes. You make the right moves at the start, you've got a
Yeah,
perfect team. But because if you don't make it, doesn't mean that you're a bad super coach player. It just means that you made the wrong moves at the start. It's just probably 6 or 7 trades that you haven't made that you should have made, changes your whole season. And no matter what you do afterwards, you just can't catch up. So
yeah, you can't
maybe
catch up. But
towards the back end of the year, maybe we will catch up because the others may be going too hard and they might collapse, like I normally do every other year, and then maybe we'll rise up then. But it's not an earned rise, if that makes sense. So even if I finish in the top 1,000, it wouldn't be something that I'm proud of because of the fact that I didn't earn that. I'd rather be ranked 100 or 200 and then drop to 1,000, then come from
yeah,
30,000 deep and get to 1,000. So,
mm.
but it's Supercoach is fun, so we just got to enjoy it. You can't always be at the top. That's how I see
No,
it.
I think the only thing I'd leave with people, yeah, is sort of what I said before, Abs. That like it took me a long time to get to grips with the fact and accept that like if I had a bad Supercoach week, it didn't mean I'm a bad person. It didn't mean that the trades I made were necessarily horrendous. Like it just meant that you'd had a bit of bad luck and good players that you bought in didn't play well, and it's okay, and you might bounce back the next week. So it's easier said than done when we invest so much sort of mental energy into the game and we think so much about our trades and we talk about it so much. But like I think at the end of the day, like you said, you just got to remember it's just a game. It's meant to be a bit of fun, and you got to try not to take it to heart too much. But before we wrap up, mate, like I don't know how many of you guests get to pump up your tires, but can I just say, like, what a gift you've been to the Supercoach community for what the past probably 3, 4, 5 years now since you finished in the top 10. And like the best thing about Supercoach for me is the people that we get to meet and the group chats that we're in, chatting to people that we've become close to as a result of playing the game. And I know like I said, I probably chew your ear off most weeks talking about how bad both our teams are, but at the end of the day, your friendship and your contribution to the Supercoach community is meant a lot to sort of all of us in the official Supercoach team. So thanks so much for everything you've done promoting our game and generating such a sort of positive community with all your channels as well.
I appreciate the kind words, Tim. You're going to bring a tear to my eye and give me a big fat head. So I'm going to once again thank yourself. And if it wasn't for yourself, that's always a post on Twitter with all the engagement. You're actually the super coach king. Okay, it's I'd say everyone that plays Supercoach knows 3 people. They'll know the Phantom, they'll know Tim Michell, and they'll know Al Payton. Everyone will know these three people, and because of you guys, the Supercoach is what it is right now. So a big thank you to yourself and all the Al Payton and the Phantom for making Supercoach what it is right now. So we all appreciate and we all love this game. Okay, and we appreciate it very much.
That's all, folks.